you attest to that, that fear can really put someone in a box that they are not able to really get out of, unless like working, like what you're doing as a coach, trying to let people go back to what it is that is really holding them back. Is that brainwashing? And it doesn't take, it's not easy. It doesn't work in a week or day or even months. It all depends on how exposed people are and how confident people are. So if people who are really in this kind of category, which are many of my clients, that they are struggling with that kind of situation right now, because I deal with a lot of immigrants from different parts of the world. And even with all that is going on now, we're getting more of them. And like I said, women are at a disadvantage because of we being women. Really, we are not the first class citizens. So everybody knows that. And then you have added responsibility of family. Some people are taking care of not only their own immediate family, but extended families as well. So one has to be in a sane mind to be able to integrate all of that in their life. So if people are coming looking for help, Melissa, how would they help? How would they find the help they're looking for through you? So how do you want them to, what do you want them to do? How do you want them to do that?
Oh, sure, certainly. So they can send me an email, and I understand you're going to put that in my email address somewhere.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, they can send me an email. And what I do is I set up a free call. We spend 60 minutes and we really look at what is it that they feel is holding them back? Where do they want to go? So many of the immigrants have a particular dream that they would like to achieve while they're here. And there's all sorts of outside circumstances that create these thoughts that they can't actually have this dream. They can't actually accomplish it. And so we're going to talk about what are those things that you want to accomplish? How do you feel in your life? So how do you feel about speaking English? How do you feel about your relationships? How do you feel about your career? And then we look at where you want to be. And then if it feels like a good fit, I present an opportunity to start coaching together. But I want to say that if you are an immigrant and you have a dream on your heart, whether that dream is you just want to make friends with Americans or wherever you're living, the local people where you're living, or it's you want to have a job that you actually really enjoyed, you want to be doing, I believe that's on your heart for a reason. And you can either sit in the discomfort of not pursuing that dream, or you can be in the discomfort of pursuing that dream. And this is what I help my clients do, to help them decide which discomfort do you want to sit in and move through, because I can teach you how to have the confidence and the resiliency in order to keep going and to achieve that dream that you have.
So who are your typical clients right now, and who are you looking for to be clients?
Yeah, a lot of the people I work with have been living in the US for at least 5 years. They have a great command of English, but they don't believe that they have a great command of English. So many of them are working right now and maybe they just don't feel comfortable or confident in their job, or they want to find a job in the US. Or I'm working with a retiree right now who is completely changing his career and looking how to sort of reinvent himself now that he's retired and is living as an immigrant in the US. So really, it's anybody who feels like they're criticizing their English skills. They tell themselves something like, oh, my English isn't good enough, or I can't do this or that because of my English. Somebody who's really stuck in those thoughts, and wants to transform them into feeling more confident, like they belong, and feel connected to their community. Those are the kind of people that I love working with.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad that to hear that you're really open to pretty much everybody who really needs your help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to add about speaking English or speaking it right or not speaking it right, because I am one of the immigrants myself, and I have worked in different parts of the world. But one thing I want to talk to people about is there's a difference between speaking English and having an accent speaking English. I speak English, I speak different languages, and English is like my, I don't know what I thought of some language. So it's not something that it wasn't easy for me to learn, but I had to learn it, you know, and it was a challenge. And for anybody who does not have English or even French or Spanish as the first language, you're going to struggle through it. That's a given. It's very normal. It's very natural. But the truth of the matter is, if English is not your first language, when you speak English, you're going to speak it with an accent. And when people talk, what they're referring to, maybe not speaking English well, might be your accent. So you want to actually differentiate between speaking English well and having an accent. Some of the languages we have, like in my own natural language, is Igbo, and we have our verbs and vowels. They're all different, and we pronounce them differently, and that cuts across your English. So, and so is Spanish, and so is Portuguese, or any other language you can think about. So people come speaking their original language, and then when they learn a different language, of course, they cannot remove their own natural language completely. No, so you're going to really see some residual of that. And that's sometimes what people talk about, oh, she does not talk English well. And I have heard a lot of that in my whole career. And what I say to them, and they usually take women, it's usually women, and they feel so small, they feel so depressed, they feel shy. And I'm like, you know what? If you're in the United States speaking English, the United States people here who speak English have American accent. When you, and Melissa, you know that, when you go to England and speak English, they have their own English accent. So everybody got their own accent. But what is important is that you listen to people, because it is not easy to learn another language. Be kind to people, and people who are learning all these languages, please be gentle with yourself, especially women. I want to plead with women to please be gentle with yourself, because you're not only learning a different language, you're also learning culture, you're also juggling family, your education, everything. So you're going through a lot of stress. You don't want language to be an added stress on you that will really hinder your progress. Now we have Melissa that you can reach out to. She has a website. She has an email address. I think you have a phone number as well. Do you have a phone number?
Oh, actually, no, I don't share my phone number.
Okay, that's okay. No, that's fine. They can contact you with, all the other options that you have. That you also on LinkedIn, so people can contact you through this whole means and be able to get help. Another question I have for you, Melissa, is about languages. So say, for example, people who are speaking Spanish, or those who want to learn French, do you have a team of a group of people that you work with in helping people, like ongoing help? Like if they need that language or language school or community or whatever, do you have that connection where you are or anywhere?
Yeah, so I'm actually a trained neuro language coach, which is a combination of neuroscience and life coaching together. And I got that certification to coach on the language, to coach the mechanics of speaking English, which is not what I'm doing anymore, right? But I have a whole network of people that are practicing that, that are coaching on multiple languages. So for sure, you know, what with most of the clients I work with, they don't need to actually learn more English. It's more about their mindset because they keep thinking, oh, if I know more, I'm going to feel better. If I know more, I'm going to be confident. If I know more, people will stop asking me to repeat myself. And that's not really the issue.
Right.
The issue is how they feel and the energy that they carry themselves with and the thoughts that they're telling themselves. But of course, there are people that do need to learn the grammar and the pronunciation. So definitely I have contacts for that. And I also want to, thank you for talking about accents, because this is such an important topic. So many people have shared with me they don't like their accent, or that they think they don't sound, people don't think that they're intelligent because they have an accent. And Zita, I completely agree with you that if you are learning another language as an adult, it's very rare that you would completely get rid of an accent. You're going to carry over some rhythms and patterns from your native language, and it's okay. What we want to look at are, what are the thoughts that you're telling yourself about that? Because if you are saying, I don't sound smart when I talk, then you are not going to show up from a place where you feel really good about yourself. Or if you have the thought, oh, people don't take me seriously because I have an accent. Really, I want you to examine that thought. This is theory, not theory, but I can't think of the word. Here I am, native English speaker, twice now. I can't think of the word. Okay. But what I want to say is, everything that you think somebody else thinks is actually what you think. Okay. So if you have the thought, people won't take me seriously with my accent, it's not because other people are saying that or even thinking that. We have no way to know what they're thinking. It's because you have the belief, you have the fear. And so that's what I really, really help my clients work on. And Zita, I also agree that it is up to the listener to take their time and allow that person, if they are struggling to get a word across, or maybe they are carrying a very heavy accent, just extend them a little grace and let your ears adjust. Because that's one of the things too, is we will adjust to other accents. Just like you said, Zita, in England, there are so many different accents of English. Same thing in the United States. And then we have Australia, and we have Canada, and we have South Africa. There are so many different accents. Scotland. I mean, I'm confused at times when I hear a Scottish person speak, or an Irish person. So there's over 160 dialects of English. So nobody is accent free. Everybody has an accent.
Right. Right. And I'm glad you said that. And that's what I try to tell people. And I'm like, if we're going by accent, then I won't be doing this podcast, because I don't have American accent. So, but it's not going to stop me. People have to really, like you said, extend your ears a little bit, because it's a mutual feeling. When somebody who doesn't have my accent speaks, I spend time listening to them. So if I, spend that a little bit of time, listen to that person, you will really get it. No matter what, you will get it. But if people are already prejudiced and media, they don't want to listen to that, no matter how you try, they won't hear it and they won't understand you. But let it not really be your problem. Let it be that person's problem, because You rightly put it. We all have accents, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is just our root. That is just who we are. You're going to have to have a root. You're going to have your natural mother tongue that really forms and frames your accent. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, accent is not a problem. It's what we do with who we are and what we, talk about, and how we live our life and how we treat our environment. That is where the issue is. Has nothing to do with how you speak English or don't speak English, or even speak Spanish or don't speak Spanish. So I'm glad we're talking about this today. It is very critical. And the United States is a melting pot of the whole world. So whether we like it or not, you're going to be meeting individuals with different accents. So please know that that's part of what we deal with as citizens of the United States. And be patient with yourself and be patient with other people. Now,
Oh,
so go
Zita,
ahead.
could I just share something that I think would be really helpful for the listeners?
Yes.
In my neuroscience training, I just want to talk briefly about how we learn languages. So for anybody who is feeling really frustrated, or just they're in the midst of learning another language right now. When we are born, we have a number of neurons in our brain. And between the ages of 0 to 8, our brain is creating a map of these different neurons. And it's collecting all of the information that we receive in our environment. And all of that goes straight to the subconscious. So this is why when you show a child, so for example, I've been learning some American Sign Language, and I was showing my friend's daughter some sign language, and she's 1.5, and I haven't seen her in weeks, but she remembers it. This is why the children remember things so quickly, because everything they learn goes straight to the subconscious, and it develops this neural map that helps you interpret the world. Well, that map stops. It's completely formed around the age of 7 or 8. And at that point, in order to learn something new, you have to create new neural connections, new pathways in that already established map. So this is why when you go to learn a language or anything new beyond the age of 8, you learn by association. So for example, if you are learning English and you start learning words like water bottle, for example, you are going to look to your brain, what is water bottle in my native language? You're going to make comparisons, and then you're going to see, do things fit? And how can I make that fit in my brain? And then you have to practice that repeatedly to create a new established neural pathway. And this is why it takes longer to learn a language when you're older versus when you're younger. And this is why it's harder to get rid of an accent. For any of those people who say, I want to get rid of it, it's hard to get rid of an accent when you're older, because you already have these established pathways in your brain of how you speak. So I hope that just gives some insight to people who are learning another language.
Thank you so much, Melissa. That's really awesome information. Yeah. So you guys out there, let's just console ourselves and know that it's not our fault.
That's right. Your brain is doing its job.
Right.
It's always going to go to the neural pathways that you already have established. It's always going to go to the thoughts that you that are more practiced, the vocabulary that's more practiced. Right. So it's doing its job. It wants to be efficient. It wants you to be able to do things as quickly as possible. But when we're learning something new, it takes longer, because we have to tell our brain, no, mm-hmm. we're not speaking English right now. We're speaking French. Right. Or we're not going to think that thought. We decided I'm no longer thinking this thought that my English isn't good enough. And instead, I want to direct my brain to another thought, a more helpful thought.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. That is intriguing. Wow. Thank you so much for that explanation. Yeah. So I'm going to open it up to our audience. Does anyone have questions? Please, can you unmute and ask your questions to Melissa? Or comments. It doesn't have to be questions, comments. Some people I know are shy. Please, if you prefer to put your question on the chat, feel free to do that. Yes. Yes.
First of all, having an accent is not a detraction. I love accents. And I was fortunate to grow up in a household with what you call au pair today. And I have older sisters in other countries where they lived with us. And which is why I learned speaking Spanish when I was very young. I don't speak much, but my accent's really good, I guess, because I learned it when I was very young. But as far as learning languages too, I think part of it is the environment and being confident. And dependent also on your teachers as well. But as far as the most successful language programs, and I'm fluent in Mandarin Chinese, and I write as well, and very proficient in Japanese and also French, and not the greatest Korean because I learned that a lot later. But when you learn a language well, you're put in an environment where you can't translate. And like Middlebury College has a summer program where you cannot, if you're out wherever you are, you must speak the language. And when you do that, you because if you want to speak fluently, and you can't translate. So we have to do is, you're right, you have to kind of relax and take a deep breath and just plunge in there, and then it makes a difference. And I know the languages that I'm not as proficient, like the Korean, I get a little nervous, whatever, but the only way you're going to learn is just by plunging in, relax. And and when you really get used to hearing it, and if you hear if you speak to people or listen to broadcasts or whatever, that will help your pronunciation. You can still be an adult and end up speaking very good French or whatever language. I speak French as well, and I spent some time over there, but it is very, very interesting. Confidence with women, you're right. Women tend to be like really shy and nervous. And I did a little bit of teaching Japanese people when I was younger, and knowing Japanese, I kind of knew what they were thinking, but we kind of, if they knew I knew their language and relaxed, but oftentimes people don't. So I think it's a great thing that a great job that you have working with people and giving them confidence, Melissa.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I'm so impressed by the number of languages that you've learned and mastered. And I agree that immersion there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like it that's going to give you that experience of being able to get the words to come out much quicker. And the issue that I ran into was not being able to relax. And so for some people, like, we have this chatter in our brain going on. And it's like we're showing up and speaking in that other language, but then in our brain, we have all these distracting thoughts. And sometimes it's not enough, or it doesn't quiet them by saying like, okay, it's time to relax. We can do that. But I really love helping people explore what are those thoughts that are going on, because those distracting thoughts, we can pull them out and really examine them and look at them. Like, for example, the one that I hear quite frequently, well, my English isn't good enough. We really like examine that and look at, is that actually true? And then we decide, once that person can actually feel neutral about that and say, you know what, it's not true. There's no such thing as, like, of course it's good enough. I'm able to communicate. There are people who understand me. Maybe they don't understand me all the time, but they understand me, many times. And then we start looking at, well, what's a new thought you want to have, so that when you're in that situation next time, you can start to train your brain to have the new thought going on. But I agree, it's a lot to manage in your brain when you're trying to translate. understand everything that's going on around you and deal with all of these unhelpful thoughts that are creating this anxiety.
I just think of it as fun. I mean, I love it. I mean, if I'm going to France or something, I'm going on the airplane and I'm not speaking any English. I like it. I think it's fun and yeah, I just I really enjoy doing it. So I guess if you change someone's mindset and they think, gee, it's fun, you're going to be like being somebody who lives in whatever that country is. It relaxes you somewhat, I think.
Yeah, I love feeling that way too. Like I get really excited to go to France as well. Like when I'm on the plane too, it's just I'm excited to land there and be immersed in it and just start practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so true. Learning a language is really when you get through that whole first shock, then you begin to enjoy it, you know. And immersing yourself is the right word. And you will feel so unsure of yourself, so fearful. You want to like cover yourself. You don't want people to even know or see you because you're anxious about how people are looking at you. What is their perception about you? What is actually, am I going to make it? Am I going to be able to, learn enough that will help me? And what is also going on in language learning, especially coming into this culture, as opposed to other cultures that, especially I'm talking from experience. One thing I struggled with was the pace. The United States, when I was in England, life seemed to be a little bit relaxed. You can actually have stop and have a cup of tea. But when I came to the United States, I'm like, oh my God, you don't even get a break. People are eating standing up. And I'm like, they don't even have time for dinner or breakfast. I'm like, how am I going to survive here? So my problem wasn't really the language. It was the culture around the language. It's like, give me a break. Where are we rushing to? But I mean, that's what it is. And some people look at you and like, what are you talking about? That's how it is here. Yeah. So when women
not good feature, to be honest. I've lived in the UK as well. Not good feature of the US.
I know. But it's worse for women because guess what? We have other stuff going on in our lives, like I always emphasize. And you are also struggling to not only learn the language, you want to also fit in, you want to work, you want to earn a living, you don't have a break, you know. So learning the language even becomes more difficult because like Melissa rightly put it, there's other stuff going on in your brain that you really need to unpack. So I'm glad that we have Melissa with this kind of talent and skills to support immigrants. And please, I'm really pleading with everybody here and those who are watching out on the internet. If you know anyone who needs it, which is really a lot of people right now, who will be needing support with language skills, coach and stuff like that, please pass on this message. Melissa's information is in the chat. And we are hoping that we will be our brothers and sisters support and help her to provide services that really meet their needs. And we all need that. We all need it. And I know that Melissa will be glad to accompany any person who is struggling in this area. And having her own experience, she understands better what that means and what it feels to be an immigrant. So I want to also ask if anyone has another question, please unmute yourself and ask your question or even a comment, especially for our women and anything else that anybody wants to mention. This is your time, please, to ask your questions and make comments. And Melissa, how do you have an office or you work from home, or how does that work?
I work from home, so I meet with my clients virtually, just like this.
Okay.
And actually, I can give you, some examples of
Mhm.
the types of things that my clients have gone on to do, because we've spoken a little bit about some of their dreams, but I can share with you just some specific results that some clients have had. So one person came to me, and she had been living in the US for over 15 years and had been speaking English as a second language her whole adult life, and also had a job where she led presentations. She was training teachers in English. Yet, despite all of that, she still felt uncomfortable in English. And you can have all of the circumstances where it seems like you're successful and you've made it, and yet still deal with feelings of inadequacy or feeling frustrated. And so she and I worked together for a little bit. And as we started working on her confidence, as she started becoming that confident English speaker, her boss started asking her to give more and more presentations and more leadership opportunities. And then she was showing up with so much confidence and certainty that organizations that she was involved with in the community, nonprofits, were asking her to be a leader in their space. And then eventually she felt good enough, several months after we finished our work, she was still on this progress, to go to her boss and say, I'm ready for more, but I know that there isn't another job for me here. And he said, I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to go elsewhere. I'm going to create a managerial position for you. And so she was able to get that job. And before we worked together, she wouldn't dare even think that she was prepared to do anything more than what she was doing. But she created so much certainty in herself and confidence in her abilities, and other people were seeing it, that they were asking her to step up and be a leader.
Wow, that is awesome. And yes, self-confidence really is pretty important, no matter what you're doing. That if you lack self-confidence, you really have a long way to go then. And I think that is where Melissa comes in, tries to help you, tries to make sure that you get your confidence back. Because if you don't have it, oh, believe me, you're going to really be crawling for the rest of your life. And that is not good. That is not good for anybody. As an immigrant, people migrate to this country to prosper, to seek for greener pasture. But then if you're coming and you're not able to communicate and you have all these self-confidence issues, you need to really figure that out, because if not, you're going to really be working for a long time and not really achieving the dream that brought you to this country. So I am so happy that we have Melissa here. And those of you who are shy or not ready with any questions or comments, please send your questions to either me or to Melissa. She already shared her contact information so that we can help you in any way possible. You can get help, that is for sure. And I'm talking to the mothers out there and their kids. Please seek the help you need. There's always help. When you reach out to Melissa, she will really support you in any way and form. Please do that. And Melissa, thank you so much again for coming. We're going to have to bring you back at some point, because as our program progresses, we get more, audience, people ask questions, people look for other opportunities for growth. So I am really looking forward to having you once again and connecting more with you too. with
Yeah.
yeah. So
I agree, Zita. And there's so much more we could talk about on this topic. So I would be happy to come back. Thank you.
yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Now for next week, Tuesday, we have Tommy Tong, and he will be talking to us about health insurance. That's one of the areas that immigrants struggle with as well. And come learn how you can really maneuver this whole system and find the best health insurance coverage for you and your family and your loved ones. And so on this note, I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for coming this evening, and have a wonderful evening, and come back next week. Thank you, and God bless you. Good night.